All right, today we are diving into a book that didn't just teach acting, it completely blew it up and rebuilt it from the ground up. Constantin Stanislavski's An Actor Prepares isn't some dry manual. It's this incredible journey into the very soul of what it means to create a character that feels, well, real. I mean, think about it. The best performance you've ever seen, right? What made it so good? I bet it's because it felt completely, totally real. Like you weren't watching an actor, you were just watching a person. And that's the exact puzzle Stanislavski was obsessed with solving. How do you stop pretending to be someone and start actually living as them on stage? So the book introduces us to this young, super eager acting student named Kostya, and his first big assignment is Shakespeare's Othello. And his first go at it is, well, it's pretty comical. He's grabbing whatever's lying around his room, striking these dramatic poses, trying his best to look the part. But as we're about to see, that's exactly the problem. He's just playing a picture, not a person. Yeah, you gotta understand, back in Stanislavski's day, a lot of acting was just this big, over-the-top, artificial show. It was all about indicating an emotion to the audience, showing them you're sad. And this is exactly what our guy Kostya is doing, and it's the very first wall he smacks into. So when Kostya finally gets up in front of the class to do his Othello scene, his director, a guy named Tortsov, just completely dismantles it. He points out, look, you're not playing Othello, the actual complex human being. You're playing some cliché you have in your head, a savage in general. It was all just noise and gestures on the outside with absolutely zero truth on the inside. And this brings us to one of the most important ideas in the whole book. You've got forced acting, which is basically just holding up a sign that says, I'm angry, versus what he calls the art of living a part. That's about actually experiencing real emotion. Think of it like this. One is showing a picture of a fire, and the other is actually building a fire that gives off real heat. Okay, so how do you start building that fire? How do you get to that truth? Well, Stanislavski gives his students their very first and maybe the most powerful tool in the whole system, and it all comes down to one little word. It's called the magic if, and it's so brilliant in its simplicity. See, it doesn't force you to believe something that isn't real. It doesn't say, believe there's a killer outside. It just asks a gentle question. What would you do if there were? And that little question is the key. It unlocks the imagination and gets you to a place of honest belief. We see this in action in this great classroom exercise. The director tells the students to just, hang out on stage, and they're all awkward and stiff. But then he throws in the magic if. What if there's a dangerous madman trying to break in through that door? And bam, everything changes. They're not acting scared anymore. They are really listening. They're planning. They're reacting. Their actions are suddenly real and focused, all because of that one simple what if. So once an actor can find these little moments of truth, how do you string them all together to create a whole performance? Well, the key, according to Stanislavski, is to make sure every single thing you do on stage has a clear, understandable purpose. Tortsov, the director, has this brilliant analogy. He says a 5-act play is like a giant roast turkey. It's way too big and overwhelming to tackle all at once. You can't just swallow it whole, right? You've got to have a plan. You have to carve it up into smaller, more manageable pieces. And here's how that carving works. The whole play is the turkey. You carve that into big pieces. Those are the acts. Then you carve those acts into even smaller, more digestible chunks called units. And inside every single one of those units, the actor has to find their objective, a simple, bite-sized, active goal. That's what makes a massive role feel doable. This brings us right back to that core idea of avoiding acting in general. An actor should never, ever walk on stage thinking, my goal is to be sad. That's just playing an idea. Instead, their objective has to be something they can actually do. Not be sad, but I want to convince her not to leave me, or I want to fight back my tears. It's all about purpose. And here's the kicker. Stanislavski is adamant that an objective has to be an active verb. You don't play a noun like love or anger. You play the verb. You play to win her affection or to provoke his anger. Verbs demand action, and it's the action that brings a performance to life. Okay, so we've covered the external stuff, the actions, the objectives, the what you're doing. But what about the inner life? How does an actor actually fuel all of this with real, genuine feeling? This is where we get into probably the most famous and definitely the most misunderstood part of the whole Stanislavski system. It's called emotion memory. And the basic idea is that an actor's own life experiences are this huge reservoir of feeling. By reaching back into a memory, not to replay the event, but to reawaken the feeling you had during that event, you can trigger authentic, real emotion on stage and do it reliably night after night. There's just one story in the book that wow. It's about a student named Dasha who's playing a scene where she finds an abandoned baby. And her performance is absolutely breathtaking. Why? Because she's tapping into the emotion memory of losing her own child. The feeling is so real that for her, and for everyone watching, a simple stick of wood she's holding is completely transformed into a living, breathing baby. It's just incredibly powerful stuff. Now, this is super important because a lot of people get this wrong. Stanislavski isn't saying an actor should just stand there and try to force a feeling. It's actually the complete opposite. He teaches that if you commit 100% to your physical actions and you truly believe in the what-if of the scene, genuine emotion will bubble up all on its own. The feeling follows the action. So we have all these amazing pieces, the magic if, these bite-sized objectives, this powerful emotion memory. But how do you put them all together? How do you make sure they add up to a complete, consistent character, and not just a bunch of cool random moments? Well, the director has another fantastic analogy for this. He talks about a pilot navigating a really dangerous coastline. If the pilot got obsessed with every single little rock and tree, he'd crash. What does he do instead? He sticks to the channel. He follows the one clear path that will get him safely to his destination. And for an actor, that channel is what Stanislavski calls the super objective. It's the character's single, ultimate goal that drives them through the entire story. It's the answer to the big question, what does this person want more than anything else in the world? That super objective is the spine of the entire performance. This makes it so clear. Look, all those little objectives we talked about, washing my hands, packing my bag, locking the door, they could seem random. But they're all like beads on a string. And the string that connects them all and gives them a single purpose is the through line of action. And that through line is always pulling the character toward their super objective. So, we watch our young actor Kostya go on this incredible journey. He starts out as this kind of silly caricature of Othello, waving an umbrella around like a sword. And he becomes an artist who truly understands how to build a character from the inside out, with purpose and with truth. In the end, what Stanislavski did was revolutionary. He gave actors a concrete system, a repeatable technique. He gave them a roadmap to get beyond just faking it and to actually achieve the art of living a part. His ideas became the absolute bedrock of modern acting, influencing everyone and everything we see today. He didn't just demand realism, he gave actors the tools to actually create it. And that kind of leaves you with this one last thought. When you break down human behavior like this into wants and goals and memories and actions, you realize this system isn't just for actors. It's a really profound look at what makes all of us tick. It makes you wonder, right? How much of acting is really just deeply understanding what it means to be human?